faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iwalter. Yes, it's iwalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iwalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iwalter.
Yes, it's Walter. I actually did not think I was going to, well, I didn't think I was going to do a show tonight, but here I am, and it looks like I'm going to try to do one. Apologize about that. I'm just trying to get everything set up. It is actually, what is it? I actually got to check the date. It is Monday. I know that much. And I am so lost for time because it was a busy weekend for me, not of importance, but I did actually have to get some paperwork together because some things for, from the bank and then something for a special test I have to take at this place called OVR. Apparently I send this paperwork to this woman at this place called the OVR Office of Rehabilitation. It's all about because I want to get some testing done, and, it's the only place that will do it. I sent it to this woman twice, and she apparently lost it even after she said she had all this information. I emailed it. I scanned everything in. Thank God I kept a copy of everything that I had scanned in. Otherwise, it would have been a real mess. But I still need one more piece of paper to scan in. I'll email it to her. I'm not going to send it to her. And if she loses it this time, it's on her, not me. Anyway, it's Monday, June 5th, 2017. I actually was surprised. I surprised myself. I actually did what I was going to do this weekend. And number one was go. I know it's ridiculous, but I wanted to go see Wonder Woman. I'm going to make sure I say this right because everybody says it differently. I say it completely different, but most people call her Gal Gadot. She's the one who plays Wonder Woman. There's some interesting things about her I want to mention. I actually also saw this weekend, by the way, and it was worth every penny. Very lovely person, plays on Doctor Who. I think she, she was very pleasant, but I felt bad because I don't think she had the crowds that I expect her to have. Looking for her name right now because I actually forgot. It's pretty bad. Pearl Mackie. She plays the new companion. Very nice, pleasant girl to meet. She was very friendly to me. Very, very, very friendly. And I really appreciate that because, lately when I go to these conventions, it's been years since I've actually met anybody from Doctor Who. It was, respectful to me or, as a fan. And she obviously knew this. I told her, hey, I've been a fan for since the 70s. So she kind of respected that. She was very friendly to me. And, I got basically just a ticket to see her. Anyway, I kind of wrote out how to say Gal's name from, who plays Wonder Woman. And I kind of pronounced it the way you're supposed to say it. So I hope this is right. But again, her first name looks like Gal because this is G-A-L, but it's actually, I guess that would be, it's Gal. No, it's Gal. Gal. It looks like Gal for some reason to me, but it's Gal. And her last name is actually, the way she says it's pronounced is Gadot. Not Godot, but Gadot. So you get an extra, something with the T. And it's funny because her original name, which I kind of suspected this, was a very Jewish name, but her parents decided to change it. And it was funny because one of the talk shows she was on, they said, oh, your parents already gave you, a studio name before you became an actor or whatever. I'm sure there was other reasons behind that. It was funny, though, because I tried to look this stuff up, but interesting stuff about Gal Gadot was that she actually served. I saw a couple interviews. I wanted not to go in blindsided tonight if I do a quick presentation of what happened this weekend or a show. She actually spent 2 years in the Israeli army. So, she's her whole life she's been very physical. I think this is why they picked her. But yeah, she was like top in her rank in the Israeli army. So she's a very strong woman to begin with. She's very young, but she's very strong. So I think there's many reasons why they picked her. Before I go into the movie, I thought that was really impressive. Again, there's a couple interviews with her on different shows. Obviously now she's going to be for the rest of her life, and she's definitely made a new, mark in as far as a woman director and a woman lead-in role. Because the woman who directed the film is the first person they said. I had an article on this here. It was from the New York Post, but I also have one because I always go by, Box Office Mojo. But anyway, it said Wonder Woman becomes the biggest blockbuster ever directed by a woman. So, impressively made for a first film to make this kind of money from a film directed, again, by a woman. It made in the U.S. it looks like $122.5 million. Now, by most superhero standards, it's probably not that much, but the fact that it was directed by a woman and it was about a woman is rather very impressive. It was like 50-50 almost, right down the center of who the audience was, male, female. So to make even things better, though, for the film, it did make, that much, $122.5 million in domestic sales, but then overseas, let's see. Yeah, because it had it in here. China alone, it made $38 million in China, so that's very impressive. Internationally, I apologize. Internationally, it made 122.5 and over 100 million in U.S. Because I'm looking at different types of specs. The budget was almost $149 million. So it's a lot of money for a movie, but there's a lot of special effects. Opening weekend, it made over $100 million in the U.S., and then it was foreign that it made $122.5 million. Or billion, billion dollars. So overall, pretty much, let's see, it made over $223 billion. Its opening weekend. So, and again, the thing that kind of impressed me, I went to this Wizard Con in Philly, and I talked to mainly the guys are the ones who said they wanted to see it. The girls said they wanted to see it. Guys who did see it, one really impressed me. He kind of sold me on the fact that maybe I'm misunderstanding. I don't really understand the whole transcribing something from a comic book to a movie. I kind of lose interest. I like it being theatrical. And somebody said, yeah, this was actually true to the origins of Wonder Woman. So it was like, okay, that's probably why I was not that interested. But at least two of the guys I talked to both said they didn't like the ending of the movie. I probably shouldn't see anything because apparently there's a lot of people who still want to go see it. My interpretation from the film by the ending was it was very weak, and so did they say. They could have done a better ending. Now, the thing is, it was interesting. The one guy I was talking to, most of your DC comics are all based on Greek mythology gods. Some type of god. You got Superman, who is some type, maybe not a Greek god, but he is some type of god. Figure. He's got superpowers. He's like a god sent to Earth. And Wonder Woman, they actually put that into the origins of the film, was basically made from clay from Zeus. So she is, she's derived from the origins of the Greek mythology. So, and that part was kind of interesting. I asked because there was some stuff that I wasn't sure about. I was a little bit skeptic about. One of the things is they talked about in World War II, according to Wonder Woman, that it's a movie. I know it's based upon a comic book, but the origins that I kind of did research on my own before I asked other people is Wonder Woman originally was made from, back then was Rosie the Riveter, during World War II. It was a figure showing that women were helping out with the war. And if you look at it, it was a very close resemblance to Wonder Woman back in, I think it was, because I got a book that's all the old comics bound into a book. I got it 2 days ago. And it basically posted in there, 1944, I think it was. That was like the end of the war, though. So it was during the wartime, so maybe a little bit beforehand, that Wonder Woman was born, the character of Wonder Woman. And it was to show strength in women. And it was pretty impressive. I mean, it did very well. But, I don't understand. That's why I got this book. I just kind of want to look at the old, original Wonder Woman stuff. But one of the things they incorporated in the movie was they made you think that it was about World War II, which it was. I had this discussion with people. I thought the actors who did the characters of the Nazis, their accents trying to be German were horrendous. They were really bad. So that kind of turned me off. I found it a little bit, in my opinion, a little unbelievable that there was these 4 guys. It was like the Gang of 5 or whatever with Wonder Woman, who basically helped in the war and actually ended part of it. So I was a little bit skeptical about that, but one guy kind of made me see differently. He was impressed that, okay, this is all-woman film, basically. The strong characters are women. The director's a woman. He was afraid that they were going to, downplay men and make men look extremely weak, and that women are, the stronger of the sexes. And he said, because he reads these comics and stuff of DC and Marvel and things like that, he said they did not do that. And it's like, yeah, I guess I never thought of that. The characters they had, the reason they had these male characters that were the dirty, gritty people that go in when almost like snipers, almost not quite the same, who do the grunt work that the military can't do, were standing by the side of Wonder Woman. So he said he appreciated that. I was like, yeah, you know what? Now that I see what you're saying, because I just saw the film on Saturday, you're absolutely right. They didn't want to downplay a man's importance in society, but at the same time, it's the first film that actually shows a woman in the role as being a strong character. And the reason I'm bringing that up, which was kind of interesting, I was actually very impressed. At least 2 of the guys I was able to talk to at this WizardCon down in Philadelphia today, they were both impressed by seeing a strong character in a woman, a superhero, and they want to see more of that. I've actually felt that way too. It's something new. There's always been a lot of superhero characters, a lot of really good ones. And there is some that were, in the Marvel universe that were put into these films, but they never had a standalone film. They were always working with other people or the second best. So DC actually broke that threshold where you have a woman character that's been popular since the 40s. The 40s during the World War II. That's always been a strong character for women that actually is, finally made it to the silver screen and had done so in a very impressive way. So, I had a kind of, I'll honestly say I had a closed-minded view. I did go in there at the same time with very high expectations for this film. This film was going to be World War II with Adolf Hitler and stuff like that. Kind of like Captain America was, because I loved Captain America. I love these war pieces. And apparently, movies, in my opinion, that deal with World War II, because they make so many of them, fighting the war against, not only, which kind of pointed out in a Wonder Woman, it wasn't just Germany. There was like 22 countries, I thought they said, maybe more, that were involved. That's why it was called a world war, because it wasn't just a war with Germany and Russia. It was with other countries, many other countries, and they kind of pointed that out in the film. They made sure you knew this, which I'm pretty stupid on the fact. I just assumed, Germany was the one who was dictating, most of, which they were, most of the damage. So, this kind of takes it, you got to look at it from that perspective. This film actually, keeping an open mind now while doing this podcast, they kind of take it from a different perspective that I've never even knew about. Apparently, the Turkey was involved, according to this film at least. Turkey was more siding with the Nazis. They were helping the Nazis. They were actually forced to, pretty much. I'm not talking the civilian life, but they were pretty much controlled by Nazi Germany. And I asked this one guy, which he wasn't sure, but I said, well, according to the film's storyline, they said that, according to the story of Wonder Woman, that that was in Turkey that the Nazis were experimenting with mustard gas. And I was like, yeah, I heard about mustard gas. So this guy said, yeah, that actually was Germany's number one weapon was mustard gas. So it was like, he said that was actually, it was a little inaccurate the way they made it, though, because they had to make it more theatrical. The chemical mixture they used for the film was actually mixing it with, I think, hydrogen or something. And he said, yeah, that would never work. But, again, you're making a movie at a cinematic movie. You have to make it more, more intense. So, and by this supposedly working, I think, again, don't quote me on this, with the hydrogen, it would actually destroy the mask. Now, according to the movie, I won't say anything, but what happens that it never actually takes, well, I already just ruined it. So there was some stuff, but he said there was actually this one guy I was talking to at the comic book convention. He actually said, believe it or not, there was a soldier or something, a character in the film that was an actual real-life soldier. So they try to, kind of incorporate in a fictional, or what do you call it, I don't know what you consider it, science fiction, a fictional film, a film based upon a comic book. They try to add some truth to it. They added a lot of Greek mythology. That was without a doubt. I mean, the main characters, villain and actually the normal character, was taken right not only from the graphic novels, the comic books, whatever you want to call it, from what I understand from this guy. And the villain was the god of war, and I can't remember, Ares, I think his name was. A Greek mythology character, was also in the comic book, which I've never read it. This guy did, and he said, yeah, that was, not like completely accurate, but that was taken right from the comic. So, one thing this guy said that I thought was actually pretty interesting, by the way, he said, a lot of these movie production companies, they need to keep their hands out, which they did with Wonder Woman. He said they need to keep their hands out of, the control of how the film's going to be made. So he said, he was disappointed, which I liked. It was Suicide Squad. I really liked that movie. And also, he thought it was horrible, which I disagreed with. And Batman versus Superman, he did not like that much, because he said anytime the movie industry gets involved in, because they want to make money, they don't care if the movie's made correctly, if there is such a thing, if you saying, oh, well, this film needs to be made correctly. The only way that happens and you make the fan base more happy is when you to step back and say, do what you need to do. We're not going to get involved. And that's what this guy says they need to do. They need to not step in and dictate to these directors what they need to do. And it's funny, I actually got in a long conversation. This guy said, because One person who actually is a very good director as well as a writer is Ben Affleck. Like, I don't like his acting per se, but I do think what I've seen in the past that he's directed and actually had written some really good films, and they've gone on to do really well. I'm not too impressed with his acting most of the time, but I did like him in Batman. This guy said the same thing because Ben Affleck was meant for that part. And he actually filled those shoes very nicely, playing that character of Batman. So, but the thing was, I understand from this guy I was talking to, he said that at this point, that Ben Affleck has had he's had a lot of, button heads with people about making a standalone Batman film. And it got to the point he just basically was going to walk off. And instead of doing that, he said that, okay, I don't want to be director. I don't want to direct this film anymore because it's just too hard from, button heads with the producers. And he stepped back from that, and he's just going to act in the film, do whatever you want to do, kind of say, oh, sorry about that. I didn't realize I had my speaker on. So he stepped back, but then I heard he's having problems with the Justice League, too. Like, this man knows how, if you're going to make a movie about comic books, he would be the one to know because he's a big fan of comic books, too, and these different characters. But they don't want to hear that. They want to know how can we make this as bad as possible and make as much money because we want to sell to a larger audience, which, hey, they're in to make money. So apparently he's been having problems with that, which is a shame. But actually, if you what I've seen when they do let things, in the hands of the directors for these films, they make a lot of money because apparently, these people who go see these films, and it's actually a large female base now who are into being comic book geeks. Which is kind of weird because it's impressive at the same time because it never was like that years ago. Maybe they were just, I hate to use the word, but like closeted cases that they just never admitted. Hey, I like comic books too. People are people. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. But women like comics just as much as men do, or, gals as much as guys. And I mean, the proof's in the pudding. I don't know how else to put it, but I mean, you look at movies like, this guy actually liked these from the Marvel universe. All those films did very well. I think my one friend is wanting to see, the new Spider-Man movie because it's done, going by the proper origins and not changing it to make it a theatrical film, but make it like it was meant to be. If you're going to do a comic book film, make a comic book film. A live action one, I mean. But what is the movie? I don't even see it on the top list anymore. Well, actually, let me check. It probably is. No, wow, it really dropped now. Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. This one guy, he liked both 1 and 2. Those were films he said, this guy had spoken to today at the comic book convention. He said those films were left in the hands of the directors, not to production company, which would be Disney, because Disney owns Marvel now. I think Marvel actually took everything back in their hands. Like, Disney is really not touching. They're letting Marvel do what they want to do. But he said, like, those kind of movies, they're not my cup of tea. I'll tell you right now, because I didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I didn't bother to go see 2. But people who read those comics, like my one friend, Rich, he's seen it like 3 times. And it shows because I'm looking at the figures for Guardians of the Galaxy. It's been out for only a short few weeks, and it's already made over $800 million. It's almost made close to $1 billion. So, you're going to have more, believe it or not, if they just step back and say, okay, producers, and let these directors do what they want to do, they'd be better off. That's what I've heard, and it's obviously... I mean, these films, I won't pay money to go see all of them. I will see certain ones. Wonder Woman was one, because any DC thing, I grew up with these movies that are now movies as TV shows when I was a kid. I mean, I remember being a kid and watching Wonder Woman, Incredible Hulk, and Superman. So these things, I never read the comics, but I remember the TV show. So those were always like, since I was a child, I always like, wow, hey, these are on a big screen now. I really want to see these. So that's my reason behind it. Anyway, yeah, so that was my whole thing. It is very impressive. I want to support this. I like to see, because I grew up with the TV shows I used to watch besides Doctor Who were all DC comic shows. And even Spider-Man. I remember when I was well, that's actually Marvel, though, then. But it was for a short period of time. I remember on TV they made a TV series. I forget when it was, 70s or something, of Spider-Man. I mean, mostly in Captain America, which I don't remember at all. But I do remember Spider-Man. But other than that, which those, again, were both Marvel comics, most of the stuff was DC that I watched on TV shows. I actually, when I was a small tyke, like really small, I used to watch, every weekend, Saturday mornings, because it was the only thing on, too. But no, seriously, was the Super Friends. Like, that was my show when I was growing up as a kid. Like, Saturday mornings was watching Super Friends. What is that? That's DC Comics. So, yeah, DC was always my kind of thing to do or watch, and I kind of stuck with that. So, when they became movies, I remember when Christopher Reeve was, when he was still alive, and, he was really young, he made the first Superman. It was like, I used to get this, I think it was a magazine for kids, because I was a kid at that time. It was either a magazine called Dynamite or some other one, and they said, oh, yeah, Christopher Reeve is going to make the first theatrical Superman movie. And it was like, I was so ecstatic. I never got to see it in the theaters, but I was like, wow, Superman on this big screen. And little kid, I was like, I really was just impressed. My parents did not take me to see the first one, but they did. I convinced them to take me to see the second one. And I was like dumbfounded. I was in a glaze when I saw like these superheroes, again, which were like almost like Greek gods of some sort, but they were some type of gods, throwing buildings, beating the crap out of each other in like New York City. I thought that was like the most incredible thing. And I was like, as a kid, I was just oohing and ahhing at these films. You watch them now and it's like they look pretty bad. But back then, that was like, that was the thing that you kind of like would impress me. So, and it always stuck with me, I guess. That's the thing. It stuck with me. And now as an adult, I still enjoy that stuff. I've said this before, I go to films to, be taken away from reality. Well, I'm always, by some people's standards, I probably never do live in reality. But I really do. I just want to step back and, enjoy life. I don't want to say enjoy life, but I want to, I can't even think of the correct word. But I just, I want to forget about things, and being depressed and crap like that. I want to actually, have some fun watching a film. And these films just, take you away from reality just for that 2 hours or whatever it is, 2.5 hours, 3 hours. And that's why films like that do so well. People like being entertained. They don't need to be educated in the film. They want to be entertained. And, that's exactly why I do it. So it was, where was I going with this? That's why I continue to see these films. Again, the Wonder Woman was more for, I think, probably, it did break ground. It was more for diehard fans of probably people, because I remember when I went to the theaters, there was a kid next to me with his dad. It was sold out at IMAX, which is unbelievable because the tickets are $20 a piece. So it was like the matinee was that's the $20 is the cheaper one at the IMAX. It was over King of Prussia. And there was only like 3 or 4 seats available when I got my ticket, and there were still people buying tickets for Wonder Woman on the IMAX screen. So generally, that theater is empty because it's so god darn expensive. But it was filled. Every seat was filled. Kid next to me said, "Oh yeah, he remembers. Like he grew up watching, and he thought that was old. Was the Wonder Woman cartoon, and he was like he went because of that. Now again, like I said, the people, in that theater were of all ages, and it was like 50-50. It was the first film that you will see that it was guys were going because they were interested. Maybe they were with their girlfriends, but they were going because they wanted to go see it. And it was like, I think it was 52% female and 48% male. That is very impressive. That is very, very impressive. That was the turnout. So, yeah, and again, it's nice to see a strong film, that supports a woman. That's why back in the past, that's why that is still so popular. That's what made having a strong female character in like the comic book world, believe it or not, was why Buffy did so well. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The networks like picked this up a long time ago. Now, today, reason I'm mentioning because I saw Christy Swanson. I got a picture. It was a horrible picture with Christy Swanson. And, but I mean, not of her, of me. I looked really bad. I just looked like I wasn't even paying attention. But I got to meet Christy Swanson. I got her the autograph. I paid a couple bucks for it, but I got her autograph a stake, because what's Buffy do? She's a slayer. She uses wooden stakes to slay vampires. So that was really cool. I didn't know what much to say to her. She was very pleasant to meet, though. But I got to meet her, Christy Swanson. Again, I just looked really just annoyed. She was very pleasant, though. She looks great still. But she, who was that I just mentioned? Josh Whedon. He was the one who did that. It was like a fluke comedy film. And then I think it was Fox or something, the network. TV network, they said, you know what, we need a strong, because Wonder Woman back in the 70s, early 70s, was a strong character for females. And it was like, yeah, but guys liked it too. And that was the thing I was going to mention, I forgot to. The guys I had spoken to, they actually said, or maybe I did mention this, they liked seeing a strong woman. See, that's the opposite what the media and the press tells you. Like, men like to repress women is what they make you think. That men just, their whole goal is to repress women. No, men don't like weak women. They like strong women, women who can stand up for themselves. And I've kind of always thought that. I don't like these wimpy women who, want to be catered to. I like to see a strong woman who actually can hold their ground. And when you see a character in a film of a woman who actually shows that she's an equal, I think men actually appreciate that a lot more. And the guys I talked to, it seemed like that was the truth. So anyway, going back to Buffy real quick. Yeah, Fox actually, told Josh Whedon, hey, we want to make Buffy into a TV series. I remember correctly, we want somebody that's a role model for young girls and women. And Buffy it's a show about, it's a science fiction show, whatever you want to call it, a fictional show about a girl who was, her destiny in life was to kill the bad guys, kill these monsters, literally, because the TV series went into demons, monsters, and vampires. But the whole purpose is to have a female character who shows strength. That was the whole purpose, and it actually worked very well. The show was on until finally Sarah Michelle Gellar decided, I don't want to do it anymore. And then the show had to end. I would have watched that show if it was still on today, because I loved that show. I thought it was really good. But the point is, it was, back then, for some reason, they realized we need a strong character for women, and it did very well with both guys and gals. So, this is proven again. I mean, it's taken, I don't know how long, because it's been quite a while. It's got to be at least 10 or 15, maybe longer years since Buffy's been off. And that show is still very popular, but it was kind of like a comic book guy who made that character. And when he made it into, was told to make it into a TV series, it did very well. It did very well. So, again, and I kind of agree with that. Again, I went to this convention today, and I waited till just this morning. I got up at 7 o'clock. I bought my ticket, and I bought it for the sole purpose just to see Pearl Mackie. And she was, like, extremely pleasant. She's a very attractive young lady. And I told her right out, I said, they're not going to write you off the show, are they? Because I said, I was ready to just basically, and I told her, I was being honest, I was just ready to stop watching the show. I've lost all interest in the new series, finally, with the way they made the female character so weak. And, and it's just redundant. So it kind of got there again, but Pearl Mackie is just like, she is like the anchor on that show. She is like an incredibly good anchor. She's very funny. She can make you laugh. She can obviously, she can make you cry on what she does with the character. And she is like, brings back what made Doctor Who so good for me, that she is like a daughter figure, or at this point, I guess what they're trying to point out, she's like a granddaughter figure to the Doctor, the actor who plays the Doctor. And Peter Capaldi is great, but this role that he plays as Doctor Who is just a little too silly, the way he plays it. And the man's an incredible actor. That's the thing. He's played some really good roles in TV shows. I don't know about movies, but definitely in TV shows. He's played some very strong characters, and he plays this Doctor Who character just really too silly for my liking. So Pearl Mackie kind of just brings back, she kind of, as a supporting actress, she just brings him in a whole different light for me. And when I saw that she added herself, it's like, you know what? I really don't have this money. I had to put on the credit card today. And when I went down there, it was funny. I got a VIP because I don't want to waste time. I want to go in. It was the last day of the convention, and I wanted to really enjoy myself. And I did. She made it very pleasant. She went out of her way to make me feel like, really like a VIP person, VIP, a very important person, because, she, and she appreciated that because she really didn't have many lines or anything like that. So many lines, lines as far as people in them, to see her. And I felt really bad about that. But I was just so happy to see her, and she was so pleasant, and it was just that alone. I don't care what the price was. It was just worth it. It just made me like my whole day. It just lit me up like a Christmas tree. So, if that makes any sense, probably not. So, excuse me. Another person I said I was going to see, I actually want to get a photograph of him. I did not, because I was so intrigued by him. He's a much younger actor than me, but I just love the dude. I told him, dude, it's not that I love you. I just love the characters you play. You are so great. Nobody knows who this guy is, but his name is Ryder Strong, a young actor male actor that I just really always appreciated. The guy is just like super cool. And I saw him. I said, he had no line. I said, what are you doing here? You have like I was joking with him, and he appreciated it. I said, this is ridiculous. These people should know. Sorry about that. These people should know who you are, which most people don't. But I said to him, I was already an adult when I watched it. I saw you as a kid on this show called Boy Meets World. It was based upon these two young kids growing up in Philadelphia. Even though it was not even remotely around Philadelphia, they would mention places in Philly, and they were like stages, and in the background they'd say, oh yeah, this is part of the suburbs of Philly. And it's like, yeah, this is not. This is somewhere in Los Angeles. But I love the show because these kids, you see them grow up. And then they did a next gen. I said, dude, I had to watch your next show. You grow up with these. Well, I was already grown up, but you see these kids grow up. It was like they were my kids. And that's why I always put this kid on a pedestal. This guy, he's a man now, but Ryder Strong. And I said, dude, I loved you. You're the only thing that made the film worth watching. And I'm not even kidding, because I just love Ryder Strong as an actor. He was in this film by, oh, God, it was that film called Cabin Fever. And, you know, we were talking about that a little bit. And I said, you know, even the sequel, which was really bad, he actually came back to do 5 minutes of the film. Ryder Strong. I said, dude, you're the only thing that was good in even the second one. You were the good thing. You were the best thing in the first one and the second one. Like Eli Roth. Okay, I was going to look up his name, but I remembered Eli Roth. So we were bullshitting about that. I said, you weren't on Stern with that. I know Eli Roth was. He was talking to Howard Stern about that back in the day when he put out Cabin Fever. And I told him, I said, the thing that's interesting, one was Ryder Strong made a very good character. He was the anchor of that film. But I told Ryder, I said, the reason that film, a lot of Eli Roth's films are really good because they're exaggerated, but they're based on what could really happen. I mean, look at it, Hostel. Yeah, you got to be careful. You go to these places and look, it's happening now that, you know, you think you're in a safe place, but you could be actually selling yourself into being of a woman, a sex slave, or something very bad. You could end up really in a kind of a snuff film kind of predicament. So, I know I said it wrong again. So, you know, the thing is, Ryder Strong, I mean, what do you call it? The movies that Eli Roth do, even Green Inferno, is a political film on stuff that could really happen. Like, he really busts. Ryder Strong, I'm sorry. Eli Roth really digs into the stupidity, in my opinion, of in Green Inferno, about these Greenpeace people, like these tree huggers. I mean, to the max. I will not watch that film again because it's so gross. But I loved it for what it stood for. I loved Hostel. They were too just bloody for me. And so was Cabin Fever. But the thing is, that really exists. What do you call it? Flesh-eating disease is a real thing. To the extent that they did it in the film, that was very exaggerated. But it was really good. And I liked Ryder Strong. I'm just, I'm jaded. I see Ryder Strong. I'm going to say, dude, I got to see this film. So anyway, who else did I see? And he was actually really pleasant. I wanted to see him. Some very cute girls, by the way, there. I didn't really get that many pictures, but I did get a picture of a woman dressed up as Wonder Woman. It's like in the new costume. So that was really cool. Trying to look, I thought I put up because I forget his name. It was a guy who used to play on, Buffy the Vampire series, TV series. He gets himself thrown out because he has a bad temper. And I was joking with him because I loved the dude when he was on Buffy. Let me see if I can find the TV series. Because I can't remember his name. I think it's Nicholas something. Let me put it in. James Marster was there too, but I totally forgot about checking him out. I mean, checking his table out. I really did. I put in Nuffy. That's not going to work. Nuffy. Let's see if I can put Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But Nicholas, I'm going to look up his name. He was very, very pleasant to meet. He kept on hugging me and stuff. I was joking with the dude, and I said, "What was it? I'm seeing the cartoon series. It was I can't find Buffy the Vampire Slayer. What do you call it? My spelling is so bad. Let me try one more time. Give me a second. Oh, God, I hate this. Oh, there was a couple of different actresses from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Let's see. Okay, it looks like his name is Nicholas Brendan. Nicholas Brendan. He's got himself into trouble more than once, and I think it's at these conventions, unfortunately. Yeah, he's 46, so he's younger than me by a few years, like 4 years. But, I mean, unfortunately, when I put his name, they come up with, like, him in his mugshots. But I kind of always liked that character. There's a couple people I liked. He's had some really hard times. He's had some really shitty times. He's got himself in a lot of fucking trouble. He's actually got himself thrown out of conventions and stuff. So I figured, hey, this is a one-shot deal. I gotta see this guy. He only had taken cash. And I was like, dude, I'll do it for I appreciate it. Hey, I've had my share of problems, growing up and still do. So my heart goes out to people like that, basically. But he was really cool. I said, oh my God, I got to meet you and everything like that. I was hugging him. He was hugging me back, and it was like a bro, the bro hugs, and, it was like cool. It was like, dude, you're great. And there's people there who are still, women and their daughters, young daughters who are like catching or watching, maybe because their moms did, these girls, their moms watch Buffy, and then they got into Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Because that is still a show that stands up till today, like for females as well. So seeing Nicholas there was, it meant a lot. He got some people, and it meant a lot to me. I'll say that much. It was like seeing that she's still like that show still gets a following from people. So, but I met him. I just shut everything down, so I'm sorry. But he was really cool to meet. So I was kind of surprised because, this man, he got, like I said, himself in some major issues of getting in fights and things like that, some pretty nasty stuff. And I'm trying to go through my pictures right now, see if there's anything that will refresh my memories from today. But he was really, really cool. I'm looking at my pictures again, and meeting Christy Swanson was really cool. She looks very good for, still. I mean, she's younger than me, too, but she looks good because these actors, you don't hear about them much anymore, so when they do that. It was actually, by the way, there was one thing that was really funny. I only got a handful of pictures. One was god-awful funny. I wanted to all day, and I couldn't get the nerve up until the very end of the day of asking these girls who dress up like Margaret Robbie, I keep on forgetting, who dress up like her as Harley Quinn. So there was a ton of girls today, and I only got like one that I actually had the nerve to ask. So I asked this girl because she got stopped a million times, and I finally stopped her myself. I said, can I get a picture of you? Because I love Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad. I just love that movie. So this guy photobombs the picture when I'm taking it, and he's dressed up as Deadpool. And he plays the character so well that I start laughing, and the guy says, oh, I'm sorry. He actually just goes to these conventions as Deadpool, and what he does all weekend is he just photobombs people as Deadpool. So he said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. He said, I just do this all day. I just go in, I made a living out of just photobombing people. So I said, no, get back in the picture. I want a picture of you, because I was like, I try to keep from laughing. I just kept on laughing. And, and I said, dude, that was another thing that just made my day. Again, I try to get sleep. I was awake all night. I was so, I get really nervous when I have things I got to go to. And I was up all night. I finally fell asleep around wee hours in the morning. And then, though, my alarm went off on my phone. It was like, oh, great. Now I got to get up to go down, if I want to go, I better get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I did. So, set my alarm. I got up. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to check where I'm at. I'm almost at an hour. That's impressive. I could actually bullshit for an hour. But yeah. Oh, and there was a guy there, by the way, on a side note. He was dressed up as what was his name from Guardians of the Galaxy? I can't remember that character. The main character, the main kid or guy in Guardians of the Galaxy. He looked really good. It's like, dude, I got to get a picture of you, and he let me do it, so I got that up too. Well, I lost my train of thought. How easy it is for Walter to lose his train of thought. But yeah, but was it about the guy who photobombed the picture? Maybe it was that. So I apologize. Lost my train of thought. But it was like, dude, you are funny. I texted him the pictures on Facebook. He gave me a business card. And I said, you know what? You are hilarious. You are so funny. Please continue to do this because it was the best. So, yeah, there was some definitely. I won for the last day. It was I'm afraid to say it, but it was like $300 because I got a VIP. Now, the funny thing was, when you get a VIP, before all they did is they give you a lanyard, you get the front of the line, blah, blah, blah. Well, this time, the VIP pass I bought was for 4 days. It was like, I can't go for 4 days. I can't afford to lose money from work. So I paid the $300 was for 4 fucking days, and I won only one. And you know what? That was more than enough. I don't think I could, if I would have won for 4 days, I would end up renting a hotel room. The hotel room alone would have been $120 a night. So that's, not going to save me any money. So for 4 days, I would have been like at least on renting. I mean, what do you call it? Renting a room, is that what I would say? That would have been like $500-$600 there, and then the ticket would have been $300. So it would have been a complete waste, and it's just seeing the same thing and just buying more and more gadgets and more stuff. So I didn't want to do that. 1 day was more than enough. I spent the whole day. I got my money's worth out of that 1 day. I will tell you that much. And I saw everything I wanted to see for that day. I had fun. I mean, there's different people every day at these conventions. You don't always get the same person every day. But it went fast. It was fun. Besides getting the front of the line, besides getting cut in lines and stuff because you're a VIP person, and there was no wait for me anywhere, which was perfect. So that was good. But the other thing was, now what they did for Wizard World, they call it Wizard World Comic-Con, to make it more, because people, I guess, were getting fed up. It's like, why am I paying $400 or $500 to see somebody and I get nothing for it? So they went one step further, and I got the one for Pearl Mackie. They gave you a huge supermarket bag filled with Doctor Who trinkets. It's like, well, most of this stuff I actually already own, so I'm going to be giving it away. The other stuff, by the way, it was like TARDIS stuff, plushes, things. And unfortunately, I got too many plushes or teddy bears. But these are Doctor Who stuff. And the stuff alone, some of that stuff was worth about $20, $30 a piece. So there was at least $100 or $200 worth of Doctor Who trinkets, which most of it I already own, so I'm going to be giving it away because I didn't know what was in it. It was like a kind of a complimentary grab bag for buying a VIP ticket. But there was like literally, I'm not even kidding, like $200 worth of crap in there that I didn't like buy hardly any. I bought a Wonder Woman t-shirt. I think it's the most I bought. Guilty pleasure, but I bought it because I thought it looked so cool. A Wonder Woman umbrella. Because I really dislike that they put a not necessarily a movie, but just a character that is a female character in a strong position. I actually really respect that. So, yeah, I mean, so that was my main reason for doing that. But, yeah, I mean, you get your money's worth. Even out of the 1 day, you get your money's worth out of the convention. It was well worth it. I'm trying to look for stuff that I really shouldn't because it's actually at an hour, which I didn't think I was going to do. I seriously thought I was going to do a 15-minute show, but when I started talking, there's no end to it. It was funny, actually, that my friend would appreciate this, my friend Matt, but there is people, like I was talking to, I had on a Twin Peaks t-shirt. It was the one where Who Killed Laura Palmer. And it was funny because a couple people came up to me and was like, yeah, hey, and we got in a conversation about Twin Peaks. Now, the part I think my friend Matt would find funny One was like this nerdy guy. It was a nerdy guy, and he like was telling me, hey, young guy, young kid, and he was like, yeah, I really like Twin Peaks. Like he looked like felt awkward talking to me, but he said he liked my shirt. He loves the new Twin Peaks series. He watched the original one because of this. And I just went off. It's like, yeah, I really, really like the new series of Twin Peaks a lot. Now, give or take, everybody has their own opinion. But I was talking for so long to this nerdy guy that he actually was trying to cut the conversation. I complain about this with women. That's what I'm trying to get at. I complain about this with women. I disinterest it. Make women disinterested in me because I just keep on talking. But I was doing it to guys, and even this nerdy guy at the convention was like, hey, I'm trying to get away from you, dude. You're driving me nuts. So even a nerdy guy who was like desperate to talk to somebody was, at the point that he was disinterested in me. So it was like, wow, I can't win anyway. The only one who was like, I'm just saying it to be funny, by the way. But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, but Pearl Mackie, she's a beautiful woman. She's a great actress. And it was really cool to meet her. I met other people that I kind of almost didn't think I was going to, what do you call it? That I wasn't going to, actually spend the money on, but I end up doing it. Just at least getting an autograph. And that was fine for me. So, yeah, so all around, what can I say? It was a pleasant day because it was a busy weekend, and unfortunately, it was funny. I actually was almost thinking of doing it, but my boss called me yesterday, on Saturday, and said, "Hey, do you want to work Sunday? Because that's like double time for me." It was like, oh God, dude, he texted me this like, yeah, I would love to, but I really had my weekend planned, and I hate to say no to making more money because today working, which I was done, I was home, I could have still went to work, I was just too tired. But what was I going to say? That one day of Sunday would have made me enough money to pay for everything today and then some. So I won't do this in the near future because I will be taking some days off here and there this month for other conventions. But yeah, it just takes one Sunday to get all my bills and put my money back to where it was before I had this issue of, theft, which I got that money back. But I mean, I'm just saying, I was so panicky though when my money got stolen out of my account that I went on a rampage and started paying off all these credit card bills like before they needed to be paid off. Like I literally paid off credit card bills, which I was going to allow myself 6 to 8 months or 6 to 12 months to pay it off. I was like, crap. You know what? I better get all these bills paid off before any more money gets stolen. So I literally went on a panic spree. So yeah. Anyway, where do I stand? I'm actually, I think, at an hour almost. If not, it's definitely very close. So yeah. Overall. Oh, this is pretty interesting. I'm just seeing this. I might have to actually mention it. Another stronghold that I did try to watch it and I did lose interest in was Supergirl. And I'm seeing something now on Facebook that said Supergirl Cat Grant won't be in series regular in the third season. So Cat Grant was actually a character that was in at least the one movie of Superman, but also or TV series, another TV series before they made this one of Supergirl. That's another one. I mean, that I started watching that because again, it's funny how the news and media put out like women are like downplayed and not given equal rights. But if you talk a lot of the guys and that make up our society, a lot of these guys like to see characters in films or TV shows or other things that are women playing strong characters. There's other shows like Orphan Black. That's another one where they have a woman as the lead role who plays a strong character. I'm trying to think. There's that another film too. Wow, that is really weird. I'm looking at something now that looks weird with a snake that looks like he's trying to swallow something massively big, but I don't know what it is yet. So I'm trying to figure out what it is. I'm sorry, it caught my attention. Like a full size, it almost looks like a deer. It's amazing what they will try to swallow. But yeah, there's that movie I, Zombie. That's another movie, TV show where the character plays like is a female that's in the main character. I mean, wow. The snake swallowed something like almost like a cow. It's weird what they will swallow. I'm trying to think what else, like leading roles of females. People say, well, females don't get an equal right. It's like, well, actually, that's not true. And they do very well, these shows. There was a show called Fringe, like the main character was a gal. Look at Hannibal Lecter. Who was the main character besides Hannibal, the cannibal? The main character was a female who was supposed to be the strong character. So, society, I mean, yeah, well, I don't know if it's society. It's the media and the press and everything that makes it out that women are being are mistreated. And, and I hate to tell you, especially in our country, we respect women a lot. And we like seeing women in strong characters. I know my friend Matt will probably say these are just TV shows. These aren't real people. But no, it's the point is, men actually do like where I started my show. They like seeing females in strong characters. Sorry about that. My laptop almost shut down that I'm doing the podcast on. That kind of got me off guard. So, yeah, so that being said, I told my parents that I was not impressed going back to Wonder Woman with the movie, and that's all my dad needed to hear. When he heard that, and he pretty much yeah, well, that movie must be pretty bad because you know what he's thinking. It's like, I don't have to spend money now. But you know what? I told him, I said, don't go by what I said because you may like the film. It got a very good rating, and my thing was originally is like, well, they probably did this because it was trying to be too politically correct. But then I hear people who have, again, read the comic book and they said and followed cartoon TV series. It was like, no, that's not the case. So, again, I did spend a weekend at a comic book convention down in Philly. Made it down there, believe it or not. It's usually a 40-minute to an hour drive. I made it down because there was no traffic today at 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning when I left the house. So I made it down in record time of 30 minutes. I made it down Philadelphia and parked. So I put in the parking garage and I just, excuse me about that. Went right to a parking garage and walked right to the convention, which was right around the block. So that was perfect. So it was definitely a very, rather expensive weekend, but it was also a very, very pleasant weekend at the same time. I can't say enough. And also, once again, I was just so happy to see Pearl Mackie. She was just incredibly nice. I thank her for that, and I thank everyone else for, making the weekend what it was. So, everyone, I'm just babbling on at this point, so I apologize. It is past an hour now. I kind of didn't intentionally try to do this, but it did turn out this way, so I'm happy. So thanks, everyone, for listening to me if you do. And this is Walter from iWalter, and yes, I am signing off for now. Have a good night. Good morning. Good night, everyone.